Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Ultimate Bucket List, and on today's show, I'm in Lisbon, the capital city of Portugal. Lisbon. It's an interesting historical city, full of culture, history that mixes the ancient and the modern, and also has some very interesting wildlife. But if you have to start somewhere, start here, the Rua Augusta Arch. This is pretty much the centre of Lisbon, and when you walk through the arch, it's actually indicative of Portuguese culture and history. Be sure to kind of get here around about sunset, because A, it's relatively quiet, and B, you can watch the city turn from day into night, with a whole kaleidoscope of colours changing the night sky, and the city illuminates up like a Christmas tree. Just like that. The nightlife is actually kind of lively, and you've got lots of street performers, you've got lots of interesting things to see such as graffiti trams going down the street, and this place, the Mundo Fantástico de Sardinha Portuguesa, which I assume means the wonderful world of Portuguese sardines. You can actually buy sardines from the year of your birth. Yay! And get to meet and talk to some interesting characters along the way. This is an observation tower in the middle of the street. Now, the queues were absolutely massive, so obviously I didn't bother. I decided to check out the nightlife around the streets of Lisbon instead, which was actually better. During the day, check out the Panteão Nacional, the National Pantheon. This rather imposing imperial looking building houses some very famous dead guys and is actually kind of cool to look at from the inside. I mean, check out the size of this place. Look at all of this stuff.
For the cost of €4, it's totally worth it to actually come in here. I mean, yeah, there's not really all that much to see in terms of, stuff to see. But generally, this place is cool. And yes, you are seeing correctly, this is a long, long way down. So yeah, if you ever get a chance to come to the Pantheon here in Lisbon, definitely worth a shot.
So when you get to the top of the National Pantheon, you get some of the most amazing views up here. And I decided to fire up the drone and take some aerial shots of this place. I mean, look at these shots. This is what you can see from the top of the Pantheon, which is pretty awesome.
Guys, so I'm atop the National Pantheon and the views out here are actually incredible. But one of the cool things that you'll probably notice when you're here in Portugal, or indeed Lisbon, is that, especially on a Saturday, which is what today is, they've got flea markets. So if you just take a look down there, the streets are pretty much lined with people who are just trying to sell you stuff. So I suppose that's cool.
So after getting mild vertigo from staring from the top of the National Pantheon, and it really is a long way down, I decided to go to street level to check out the markets. Admittedly, it's not much to write home about, but it's cool to kind of have a wander around anyway. After meandering the narrow streets, it's time to go to the next destination, Lisbon Cathedral. Now, from the air, this building looks pretty amazing, but admittedly on the inside, it's kind of plain Jane. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of other more interesting buildings to see when you're here in Lisbon. And as you can tell from the expression on my face, I'm actually a little bored. But you know what? It's actually worth a look anyway, so if you do have a spare half an hour, it's still worth a check out, mainly because it's free, but also because, well, it's a cathedral. Meandering through the narrow streets, you'll come across the most visited attraction in Lisbon, Castelo San Jorge, or St. George's Castle. Apart from the National Pantheon, this will give you the best views of Lisbon that you're ever going to see. So take lots of pictures from atop here, guys, because some of these views are just amazing. The castle itself, well, it's an ancient castle, and as you can expect, you can walk around all the turrets and all the walls. It's kind of cool to explore how Portuguese soldiers did this during the day. And do you know what? It was actually kind of fun to walk around and look at the ancient ruins and stuff like that. It does get a little busy on these walls, so be prepared to dance around complete strangers in order to get past them whilst walking around. It's generally not a problem if it's quiet. But apart from the people, the other interesting thing to note is the animals. Check out this tree because it's full of peacocks. Seriously, there's hundreds of them that live here. And whilst they're walking around trying to stalk you or scare you off with their feathers, some of them are trying to steal your food. Now, I kind of felt sorry for these guys, so I kind of shared my lunch with them. Lunch being some cereal coffee bar, so hopefully they're hopped up on caffeine now. But yeah, these guys were pretty cool, and you can get some great photo opportunities with these peacocks. But if you get bored of birds mooning you or doing some kind of interpretive dance, it's time to move on to the next attraction. And it's time to wander the streets. Wow, Cristiano Ronaldo has his own hotel. That's kind of cool. Be sure to check out some of the historic streetcars, and if you do go to the Rua Augusta Arch during the day, it looks completely different, especially if you're on a sedgeway, so that's kind of cool. There's lots of museums to see when you're here in Lisbon, but I highly recommend coming to this. This is an abandoned monastery that's right in the middle of the city, and you get some cool photo opportunities here. It's absolutely astounding that this is open air and ruined, and it looks absolutely staggering, especially with the sunlight breaking through. If you want to see more ancient sites, you're going to have to go west of the city. Take the number 15 tram all the way across to the west, where you'll find this place, the Tower of Belem. Now, the Tower of Belem is effectively an ancient lookout point for the river that leads you to Lisbon. And it's actually kind of cool to take photos and drone shots of this place, but when I went, it was something like 8 in the morning and it wasn't actually open. So the drone shots are the best that I could do without actually physically going in, but you generally kind of get the gist of what this place is about. One thing that does look impressive in the air is this, the most famous monastery in all of the free world, St. Geronimo's. And St. Geronimo's is very imposing from the air, and when you get to ground level, it's actually amazing from the ground as well. For the price of admission, you also get to access the museum, where you've got lots of ancient artifacts to kind of peruse over. Now, I gotta admit, the history bit was kind of lost on me, and even though they've got lots of placards and lots of things, it kind of went over my head, but it was kind of interesting to look at anyway. The church inside is amazing, and all of the stonework that you see here is hand carved. And, I actually got told off by this tour guide for trying to record all of this. When you go around the castle, you'll meet some very interesting characters, like these two. And the cloisters, which is this bit with all the spirals, is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, seriously, to think that all of this was done by hand is absolutely incredible. Especially if you get a nice day like today, this is a cool place to kind of wander around, take lots of pictures, take lots of videos, and just think about how life was back in the day here. I decided to go back into the church and video without the tour guide telling me off. And once again, the church bit of St. Geronimo's is actually kind of cool. It really is awe-inspiring to know that all of this was pretty much carved by hand. It can get a little busy, and when it got a little too busy, I decided to leave and go on to the more modern bits of the city. If you go east of the city, you'll find all the modern attractions. The most modern being this, the Oceanário de Lisboa, or basically the Oceanarium. And it's basically a giant aquarium full of lots of birds, lots of fish, people feeding penguins, and otters kind of grooming themselves. It's all very entertaining to look at, but is it any different to any other aquarium that you'll go to? Probably not, but whilst you're here in Lisbon, you might as well actually pay the money and go in, seeing as though you're there, of course. This is the famous Casino Lisboa. And admittedly, I tried to record in here and they shut me down pretty quickly, so yeah, it's a casino basically. If gambling's not your thing, there's a giant shopping centre attached literally nearby, so if you do feel like shopping, there's a modern shopping centre right there.
Now, I've honestly got about an hour to kill before going to the airport, and I decided to stop by Marcos Pombal, which is over there, way over there where that statue is, and I decided to have a walk around and think, wonder what there is to do around here. Turns out, this place is a pretty cool park. I'm pretty sure it's a park of some kind, but there's loads of weird and interesting buildings, including that thing over there. Not entirely sure what that is, I'm sure I'll put it in the description below. And yeah, this is a cool place to spend an afternoon, just in case you want to have a walk, or just in case you get bored of sightseeing and eating pastel de natas. So yeah, be sure to check out this place when you get a chance, Marcos Pombal or Park metro stations.
So I came across this cool building next to this park, and I have no idea what this is.
I don't really know what's going on here. An estate agents conference, something where they're all wearing the same colour jacket, I don't know. But whatever is going on here, it's pretty lively, and what a lovely building, huh?
But overall guys, if you're looking for a city break that combines modern amenities with ancient history, I highly recommend that you come here to Lisbon. Definitely add this to your bucket list because it's definitely worth a look. Okay Nin, I'm sold. What do I do? Well, you need to get here to Lisbon. From the airport, you can literally take the metro station to pretty much anywhere in the city. You'll need a metro card, which you can buy from any tickets dispensary. And the instructions are in English, the signs are in Portuguese, but you generally know or can figure out which way to go based on the signs. The metro service is actually very efficient, it's on time, and it's incredibly easy to use. You can get to pretty much most places within the city on the metro line, but if you can't, i.e. if you want to go to St. Geronimo's or the Belem Tower, where the metro stations don't stop, you'll need to use the city trams. If you do want to go across to that way of town, you'll need to catch the number 15 tram, which will take you all the way there in about 20 minutes. You can catch this right underneath the Rua Augusta Arch, so it's dead easy to find. Cost-wise, the cost of the attractions is actually quite decent. I don't think any attraction cost me any more than €20, but I'll print the prices on the screens. It's certainly not as cost effective as Porto, but it's pretty cost effective compared to everywhere else. Is there anything else I need to know? Yes, there's a couple of things that you need to know before you come here to Lisbon. As you can tell from the footage, I'm walking around like a lot. And if you do come here to Lisbon, you will be walking around here a lot. The streets are not even. In fact, some of them are pretty damn steep like this, so be prepared to use your quads, legs and hams to power you up these streets. And even if you don't speak Portuguese, everyone here speaks English. But like I said, this place is definitely worth a look once in your life. If you have enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. And if you've got any other ideas for bucket list ideas, feel free to tweet them at me. And if I get enough suggestions, I'll go ahead and do that. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Ja.